What's up, you guys? Welcome back. It's Mr. Eddie Barber, and I know it's been a little while since I've uploaded. It's been over a week, and yeah, I'm sorry about that. But I've been like going crazy trying to get this whole place together. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, I opened my own barbershop, or I should say, for those of you who don't know, I bought my own barbershop and been going through the little stuff that you got to do when you first start a shop. You got to be there all the time. You got to do a lot of stuff. You got to do a lot of advertising. And so far, so good. Everything's been going well with that. But today we're going to do a tutorial, and I'm going to do it on some really tight texture curly hair where some of it is thin, and yeah, you'll see it. So let's get right into it. All right. So basically, we're going to start this thing out. We want to go with the grain. And you want to really be careful in this colic area. You want to be careful not to go against the grain, because that's going to cut a little divot in his head. It's going to wind up cutting it shorter than you mean to. So just carefully going through. I got the number 1 on, and I have it closed. And I'm using my Andis Masters in this particular case. And you're going to see when I go with the grain, that's going to keep a lot of the wave. And that's what we want to do. We want to keep a little bit of the wave. This kid normally wears his hair a little bit longer. He hasn't tried such a short haircut before. He wanted to try something a little bit shorter. You might recognize him from some of the previous videos. We've done hard parts and we've done other cuts on him. However, he wanted to try something different. So yeah, it's going to take you a little bit of time. You got to be patient, and you got to get all that hair. And once you got it all knocked down, you're going to be good to go. And we're going to get to work on the rest of this cut. It's going to take a while to get all that hair knocked down, so just make sure that you're getting down on the eye level, you're looking at it, and you got it all wiped out. So let's go on in there now. We're going to go with the number 1 1/2, and I'm just going to get rid of some of this bulk because I want to make this a skin fade. And the problem is I can't see what I'm doing. When there's too much bulk, you got to get rid of some of that bulk. So we're going to get rid of some of that bulk. We're going to try to start the blend just by kind of lifting it off the head just a little bit, not trying to make it too perfect right now, not too concerned about it right now. I'm just trying to get it close, and then I'm going to be able to put my skin line in. And I want to do this like a higher skin fade for sure. We want to get rid of all that hair on the sides, so you don't really have to concentrate on the bottom too much. It'd just be kind of wasting time if you were to shave the entire thing down there. And I have the 1 1/2 on there, so I can go with the grain. I can go right up into that hair. That's not going to hurt anything. I just, of course, did a 1 closed with the grain on top. So, yeah, it's not going to hurt me at all to take this 1 1/2. If I see anything, then I want to jump up there and clean it out. I will tell you this. With the curly hair and with the waves, it can be kind of challenging to do the blend from skin to that wave. That wave might not lay right. Some days it might lay great for them. Other days it might not lay right. So yeah, you're going to run into some of that issues once in a while. But my best advice to you is don't try to do too much too fast. Leave yourself a little bit of bulk. And when we go back in, we'll do it with the clipper over comb. We'll do it with scissor over comb. And we'll get it so it looks perfect. So like, don't try to get ahead of yourself. I'm just going to put this skin line in. And I'm using my 5.0 on my Oster Volt. Fantastic clipper. One of the best that's ever been made. And the fact that it's still running is just a joy to use this machine every day. You might also recognize this machine as the Oster Octane. And if there's any further questions you might have about it, I've done several videos on this particular machine, and I've talked about it an awful lot on this channel, so you can go ahead and refer to one of those other videos. But after I have this all the way wiped out, I want all this hair gone, I'm going to jump to the other side. I don't really try to connect the back. It's kind of like something I always try to tell people, like, don't try to go all the way from one side to the other in one swoop. It's better to jump, do about half of the head, then jump to this side and match it up. You're going to find it a lot easier to match up because it gets a little difficult to match when you're going all the way around the head. So it's very easy to wind up a little bit higher on one side than it is on the other. So as long as you do that, you're going to be all right. And your guideline doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. A lot of people like to tell you, oh God, it's got to be great. You got to make sure it's on point. Good guideline. But that's not even true, because you can always fix it later. None of that really matters. You just want to get it pretty close to even on both sides, and make sure that, more importantly, you've wiped out all that hair on the bottom, because that's what's really important here. We got to get that down to 5/0 all the way down to skin, so that now when I go in with my electric shaver, I don't have any problems, because the amount of hair that I'm blending from absolute skin to 5/0 is such a small jump that it's very easy for me. As I'm moving that, I'm pushing down and I'm releasing tension and I'm flipping out. I'm flicking out and I'm releasing. I don't want to run this right into that line, because if you run it right into that line, then you're basically going to have to do this this next step all over again. So basically what you want to see as of this point, you want this to be absolutely perfect from skin to where you put that 5-0 line. And you want to wipe out all that hair down below, remove all that bulk, and make sure that he's looking real, cleaned up. And then that way you don't have to go back and do this again either. So make sure that this is clean. And if it's not for some reason, do not go forward. Do not mix yourself up. Don't make a big mess to clean up. I've recently had some people asking me to make some videos about how I clean up my cuts and how I go back through and kind of detail them and stuff. And I do a little bit of cleaning up. I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to tell you this. It's very easy to detail your cuts and do it really thorough the first time. That makes it a lot easier than going back and having a big mess to try to clean up afterwards. So just be thorough and go through your steps. Use the process. You don't necessarily have to use my process, but use a process, stick to your process, and don't be jumping around when you're not done with step 1. So don't go to step 3 when you're not even done with step 1. That's basically all I really want to say about that. That's going to save you guys a lot of time. A lot of people ask me all the time, I can do good haircuts, I can do good fades, but it just takes me so long. Is there anywhere I can speed up? Yes, there's definitely is a couple ways to speed up. I did a video on 5 ways to cut hair faster without sacrificing quality. And in that video, I talked about a couple different things. But certainly, you want to save time where you can. And yeah, that's being thorough is going to help with that. So I now have, the whole point of this video was to do the Wall 5-star senior versus the Andis. Okay, so we're Wall 5-star senior versus the Andis, and you guys can be the judge on what side came out cleaner or whatever. But yeah, the other side of that video I lost. So I'm beginning this side. I'm going to jump to the Wall, and I'm going to go ahead with the half attack. I have the half guard on there. I have it closed, and I'm just going to create a secondary guideline. Once I've created that guideline and everything is nice and smooth, I'm going to remove that half guard, and I'm going to go in there with the open taper, and I'm going to begin my process. The same process that we always talk about, keeping that on an angle, touching it, holding it flat, and making sure that as we move through the cut, we're keeping it on an angle, we're keeping it flat up against the side of the head, and as we begin to close the lever, we begin moving down a little bit lower. So as I close this lever, I'm coming down a little bit. As I close this lever, I'm coming down a little bit. And you can actually see the way I get underneath my clipper and I tap my lever, and little by little, you're going to see that line start to dissipate. The thing is, every time you tap your lever a little bit closer to the close position, you're going to be stepping down just a little bit, and keeping it on an angle is going to reduce the amount of mistakes that you'll make, and it will also reduce the potential or the likelihood for you to create another line. When you hold the clipper straight, flat, straight, you're going to wind up having the potential to create another line, and you don't want to do that. It's going to be a lot more thorough if you don't. So keep it on an angle, keep it anchored up against the head. Don't be leaving the head and doing this kind of thing, because a lot of times people who are new at this, they do tend to do that. They leave the head way too much. They don't use it as a tool, as an anchor, as something to keep you steady and allow your hand to be accurate, and you can deliver the best cut possible just by keeping it anchored on their head. So you can minimize the amount of flicking you have to do. A lot of people try to think that, oh, you got to have a good wrist move. Like, really, if fading was all about wrist moves, we would never be able to be so consistent. There is no need to actually do that. That's kind of a technique that could be used to sort of skip steps, to move further along faster, but it's not necessary at all. Now you see me going back another step, because I'll always go back before I go forward. So I'm going back to the trimmer, and I'm cleaning up where I got that blend in between that closed taper and that electric shaver. So now we're going forward. We got the number 1 on, and I got the number 1 open, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to begin wiping out that line. As you're going to see, the number 1 is not going to entirely wipe out that line, even as I begin with it open, staying against the grain, keeping it on an angle, and gradually closing the lever and dropping down and working my steps. Now the reason why this is not going to get it down is because we put the original guideline in with the half guard closed, right? So we're obviously going to have to return to the half guard, and we're going to have to open it slightly in order to remove that line. So when we get back to that, we'll remove the half guard. We'll put the half guard back on, and we'll remove the remainder of that line as soon as we're done with this number 1. Now, make sure that you use the number 1 for all it's worth. Make sure that you hold it flat. Make sure you're coming against the grain, and make sure that you're getting all the hair that you can get, and do everything you can do with that number 1 before you move on to that half guard. Once you move on to that half guard, you're going to see that that line is just about going to dissipate all the way. And what will we do if it doesn't? Well, the answer is simple. We'll just go back to the open taper. As I've been telling you, we step back before we step forward. And in that case, we're always going to come up with a clean, and we're not going to have to be jumping all around through our process. So it's not necessary to do a whole bunch of wrist flipping and flicking and that kind of stuff. So I just want to get that point across to you guys, because if that was the case, all of our haircuts would be a lot less consistent, and we would run into problems, more often than not when it comes to that. So now I'm just going to go in, I'm going to do my detail work. I'm just going to use my corners a little bit. I'm just touching just the corner of the blade, and now you can kind of keep it flat on the head still. Use what you need to use, and let your eyes be the best tool you got. Guide you as to where to go. You're kind of looking around. You're looking for what's not looking right. You're looking for any dark spots, any little lines, any little things that you may not have gotten perfect, and that's going to be about it. So I'm going to put on the 1 1/2. I'm going to do it open. I'm going to do it closed. First, you see me do it with the grain. I just wanted to test and see if I would get anything with that. I didn't. And I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm going to begin closing it. And as you can see, the blend is starting to come out pretty clean. Like I said, we don't need to make it perfect. We can still go back in. We're going to use our scissor over comb. We're going to use our trimmer over comb. We could use our texturizing shears, and we're going to get that hair just right. We're going to get it to lay just perfect. So do what you got to do with your clippers, but don't think that you have to make it absolutely perfect. It's much better to use the shears. The texturizing shears are going to help you to get that blend, especially in them tough curls, especially in those tough areas and tough places to get to. So after you're done with that, we're going to jump to the other side. I did the other side with the Andis Masters, and I'm not really sure what happened to the footage, but yep, I lost it. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you this entire side the way that I wanted to. However, I was trying to do a shootout between the Andis Masters and the Wall Seniors, and I'm trying to pick a winner, and I will do that in a future video. I'm going to do this again on somebody else, and I'm going to keep all the footage, and I'm going to make sure that I get it all done. But as far as the skin line goes, I did do the skin line, so we'll just begin doing the exact same process that we did before, except for notice that I didn't start with the half guard. I just started with the open taper, and I gradually begin closing it and closing it and closing it, and I take out that line, just like I did in every other video. However, I will get another video out to you guys where I do a much better, proper shootout. So anyways, a lot of people ask me about the edge ups. I always like to start in the middle when the client doesn't have any clear and present problems. A clear and present problem would be that the client's really high on one side and low on the other. Just some quick advice would be don't start on the high side, because if you push the high side higher, then the only thing you could do is push the low side up, and that's just going to be probably cutting off more than you really want to. You're going to push your client back like a lot further than you mean to. So just everybody shows these last 2 taps like in all their videos. They're like, oh, look at my edge up. They do like the last 2 taps when they're not even really cutting anything. And they're like, oh, look, these things are hitters. These are hitters. Like, the truth is, like, probably the trimmers you got are fine. Probably what you're doing is okay. It's just a process of going through it a few times, making sure you get it even, making sure you're looking at your mirror, making sure you're looking back at your camera. Sometimes your camera will show you stuff your mirror doesn't, and your mirror will show you stuff that your camera doesn't. So it's just a messing with it, how you like to hold it. I like to hold it like that when I go to that other side. It makes it a little bit easier for you guys to see, and I hold it like that all the time when I'm doing that other side. It's like the pencil grip. So I'm kind of just holding it like this, and it's just like using a pencil to me. Now, once I've finished that up, I left myself with a huge mess. Remember I told you guys about keeping your station clean? Yeah, that didn't happen here today. So what are you going to do? But anyways, the cut's looking clean. That left side I did with the Wall 5-star seniors, and that right side I did with the Andis Master Fades. and let me know which side you guys thought was cleaner, and let me know how you guys like the video. Any other video requests, please let me know what's going on, and let me know what you guys want to learn, and I'll try to get a video out to you real soon. I'm going to start delivering content to you on a regular basis again real soon. I've just been like pulling my hair out busy with this shop, but you know, I love you guys, and I thank you guys all so much for your support, and we just hit 20K. I'm so pumped. I'm about ready to give something away, so like real soon. And now, a word from our sponsors. We don't have any sponsors, okay? This is just me trying to make a difference. I make all the videos, I edit them, I shoot them, I film them, I got all the cameras, the equipment, computers, and it's all very expensive to make these YouTube videos. Okay, anybody who's interested in checking out some of the tools that I use, like this is my total favorite setup. It's battle tested. I've used it for many years. Most of the stuff here has been here for a long time, and it works excellent. Go ahead and click that link in the drop down below and you can check those out. And I finally got some merch up on the channel, and if you decide to scoop one, it really helps the channel out. If this channel helps you out and you want to support it and you want to see more of it, anything you do like that will really help me out. And also, I want to do more product giveaways and stuff like that, but it's expensive, and I left a link to my PayPal down below. If you guys kick in a little donation, we're gonna start getting in some of this. I can start giving away more clippers, and I can start doing some more things. You find it in your heart to throw even just as little as $1 or $2, it could go a long way to getting some of these clippers in some of these people's hands that might need them, and I can continue to do this for more people.